When I started my video agency, I had no clients, no reputation, and no clear strategy. But now we're doing $25,000 a month consistently, and I want to take some time to share how I got there in case it helps any of you. Now, this isn't a how-to, it's more so a how-I, and I really hope it helps in some way, whether you're a video professional or just a business owner who's looking to grow your brand. And that's what this whole channel is about. So if you're into that kind of thing, feel free to subscribe. So let's get into it. So before I even did video, I was actually working at a corporate job, and I walked out of that job because I hated it, and I've never been good at being a good employee. So I walked out, and I actually had a job lined up with a marketing agency and worked for them for quite a while, and it was great. I got to see what it's like to work from home and help brands build themselves up with the content and social media. But unfortunately, that company had to let me go because they had lost clients, and that's just the nature of the business sometimes. So I totally get it, no hard feelings. But that means I had to go back to my old stomping grounds, which is retail and working at Best Buy. I had worked for Best Buy for many years on and off. It's one of those places that they'll always take you in, especially if you're a good salesperson. So that's where I ended up. But the nature of retail, after working a corporate job and working for a marketing agency, was really defeating. There was many times I'd have lunch in my car and, just be wondering what am I doing? I think at that time I was probably 30, 29, and things weren't looking good. I remember I have a journal, and I still have it at home, where I wrote out, worst case scenario, if I kept going down the path I was going, what's going to happen? And it got pretty dire. It was, I'm going to continue making $30,000 a year. I'm not going to be able to provide for my wife. She's going to leave me. I'm not going to be happy. Those are the pictures I was painting myself in my journal, and I'm glad I kept it because I can look back on it and now see where I am now and be thankful. And I've always done photography and creative things all throughout my life. I've always been a creative person, but it's really hard to start a creative business. I did photography, I did decals, I had a shirt company, and none of them really made it past the side hustle thing, so I thought I'd given it up. And I didn't get into video with the intentions of making money. It was actually started with paintball. I used to play years and years ago, and me and my friend were looking for something to do, and we decided, hey, let's start a YouTube channel and just make videos on how bad we are, and maybe we'll get better, and it'll be kind of cool to see. Spoiler alert, we didn't get better, but we had a lot of fun. And me being me, I sold all my photo equipment and went all in on video stuff. It was really fun. I got to learn how to edit videos. I got to learn, the workflows and how to use the cameras better, because photo skills do transfer over a little bit, but not a lot. Because I was really big into off-camera flash and stuff like that, so I didn't know how to use natural light the way I need to for video sometimes, especially outdoors for things like paintball. So I had all this video equipment, and I didn't really know what to do with it beyond paintball, and that was fun and stuff. But then my friend who I played paintball with, his wife was a marketing coordinator at a nurse staffing agency here in our area, and they were like, hey, we need video. So I'm like, hey, I would love to come in and try it and do a little brand message video for you, and see how it goes. And the particular program that we were filming for was for elderly people who needed assistance. They're able to hire their family members so they can help them in their own homes with their own family, and the family member gets paid. And it was really cool because I was able to see firsthand the people I was actually helping with what I was good at, which was video and being creative. And it really struck home with me. And then to boot, I made $2,500, and I was like, I made $2,500 off this one video. I think I can do this. And me being me, it's just how my brain works is I make a little bit of money. I go, this is going to be my new business. And usually that doesn't work out, but in this case, it actually did. So things were going good. I started promoting more, that I was doing video for businesses and getting little things here and there, $500, $600 videos. And I'm like, you know what? This isn't undoable, especially with how much I was making at Best Buy and how much I needed to do video wise to make that money back and kind of supplement that income. I was like, I can do this. So I was actually about to put my 2 weeks in at Best Buy and just go all in on it when COVID happened. So, I remember the day our boss brought us in and was like, hey, you guys don't have to come to work if you don't want to, and we'll still pay you, but if you want to come back to work, you can. And it was me and my buddy looked at each other like, fucking course, we're not coming back to work. So I stopped working. I was able to get unemployment for a little while, but it gave me that safety net and time to start working on my business. And I think that's kind of one of the graces of COVID, as bad of a time it was it gave me a little bit of safety net, which I didn't need too long for social or for unemployment, but it really gave me time to dedicate to growing a business, which I am super grateful for. And in the beginning, it was tough, really hard. Many days where my head was in my hands, on my desk, questioning myself. And, I did all the usual things, emailing, DMing, cold calling, joining LinkedIn, which was a super slow crawl. But I actually did a few things that I think led to key turning points. I found a Facebook community that was full of people who were willing to help on a technical side, but they were more so helping on a business side and showing me what was possible with video. When these people are sharing their wins in there that, hey, $10,000 deal closed, $20,000, $100,000 deals from video was super motivating to see like, hey, these are real people. They're not selling me anything. They're not pitching me bullshit. They're actually doing this, which means I can do it too. So I felt like I had a pretty good technical understanding of how to light and do audio and stuff like that to make a decent looking video. So I decided to take a lot of time and learn how businesses run, not only just for my own business, but how I, as more of a video strategist, can help a business tackle any challenge that they have with video. Now, it's really important to understand how businesses work and how your videos fit into their strategies, because you're going to be at these tables with people who are really just, they're the business owners. They're the people who want to know how this is going to move the needle for their business beyond just looking and sounding good. So if you learn the lingo and how your videos are going to work into their marketing strategies, their sales processes, their internal processes, you're going to be able to speak their language at the table, and you're going to get a lot more respect and be taken way more seriously than the guy who did their daughter's wedding. Which leads to the next thing I actually did was I started talking to business owners. And it's scary, especially myself. I consider myself an introvert. It's hard to put yourself out there and go ask for business and risk getting no's, and you get a lot of them. But what I found is if you lead by giving some sort of value before asking for them to give you anything, you're going to get your foot in the door a lot easier. And as my career went on, I learned different ways to do that and way more valuable ways to do that. But I remember my first meetings with a wealth strategist in our area, and they accepted my message, and it happened to be just good timing that I DM'd them on LinkedIn, and they're like, hey, yeah, we actually been thinking about doing video. So sometimes you will get lucky with that stuff. And I remember sitting in that parking lot and I almost didn't go in. I was scared shitless, like shaking. But I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no. The worst that happens, they call me fat and bald, and then I'm back to square one, right? So I go in, the meeting went terrible. They were just really trying to like nickel and dime me, and I kind of felt that, which knowing your value as someone who is working with businesses is huge, so you don't get taken advantage of. But the meeting didn't go well. We ended up not working together, but the win was I actually got out of my car, I went in there, and I talked to a business owner about how video can build their business. And at the time I was pitching, $1,000 projects, $2,500 projects that I consider to be full strategies. But I remember my first big pitch, and I was able to go in and talk to this development company and really lay out a whole plan on how their business can use video across their entire business and in their business to grow every function of their business. And I was super confident in that, because at this point I had really taken the time to learn the struggles of businesses and how video can help them. And the number I threw out was over $100,000. They didn't say yes, but again, the win was those words came out of my mouth, and it wasn't a straight no. It was just not there. They didn't expect that, which I'm completely fine with. They didn't. What they were thinking of was not that scope of a project. We did work together on a smaller project, I think for like $5,000, which was another huge win. But the fact that I was able to say that big of a number out of my mouth to them, and they didn't laugh me out of the room, and we actually worked together, was a huge win. So after, the traditional reach out, have meetings, that kind of grind, I decided that there was one big flaw in my strategy, and it was I wasn't making my own content. So I leaned into that and took some of the free time I had to make my own content, take my own medicine, because if no one wants to be the fat personal trainer, like if you're not doing it yourself, how can you recommend it to somebody else? So I really leaned into that, and I started doing a bunch of Instagram content almost daily, and I started doing this weekly series. I think it was called Making Waves, where it was just a weekly episode filmed usually in my bedroom, talking about a specific problem that businesses have and how video can help them and give them inspiration. And shortly after I started that series, a gentleman reached out to me, a local, actually ex-NFL player reached out to me who had a business in the area and said, I've been seeing your stuff, and if I'm seeing your stuff, you could help me get my stuff seen. So we ended up working together. It was an awesome project, a full strategy for their business, both internal and external videos. And it was $15,000, which is a lot of money, especially when I was making $30,000 a year at Best Buy. And I got that, I had that framed. That is sitting in my office at home. It was a big deal. It was a big win. Someone believed in me, and I delivered on the process and the promise that I made to them, and they were super happy enough to get us a testimonial, which if you're doing projects for people and you're not getting testimonials, you have to. Google reviews, sure, but if you have them on camera, just ask them, hey, do you mind if I just ask you a few questions to how this process went? And don't be afraid, because don't be afraid that they're going to say something bad. Usually they won't, but the bad feedback is what you need quick, because when it comes down later, it hurts even more, especially if you think you've been doing something great and they just been kind of just being nice to you. Encourage open and honest feedback and get testimonials so you can use it in your own content. And that's for any business. Any business who helps clients, get video testimonials, because you can use them in email blast, in your social media. You can take the text of it and put it on your website. There's so many things you should do. Testimonials, I think, are the second most important video that any business can have. Another key thing that I started doing when I was newer to the business was reaching out to people in adjacent industries who we can team up with. So marketing agencies who didn't offer video, photographers who might want to offer a little video branding day or something like that. And I made some really key connections with a photographer here, Dana, who is one of my favorite people to be around. Our energies contrast so much, but she's so great. And she was able to introduce me to a lot of people that have either become clients or just become really good network people to have in my network. She actually decided to, for a little while, we made a branding package where she did branding photos for the business, and we do a video of that day and do a little mini brand message video. And it was really cool, and it helped me out immensely. I don't know if Dana knows how much that saved my business. And Dana, if for any reason you ever watch this, thank you so much. I think I told you this in person, but thank you. It really helped me stay in the game, kept my head in the game, because you're going to be getting all these other no's. You need little wins here and there to keep you going and make it so you realize, hey, I know what I'm doing. There's something missing, a little piece is missing here and there. And then another connection I made that was really valuable is with Allison, who ran a marketing and social media agency here, who was doing video for their clients, but they weren't doing it professionally. They were doing kind of the, hey, show up with a phone and a ring light and shoot some TikToks and Instagram reels and stuff like that. And that was great, but we decided, hey, let's step up your stuff for you, and then we'll also make a client package, and we worked together, which was awesome. And through her business, working with her and doing content, the first video we made with her got like millions of views, and she got like 30,000 followers off of it. Her business blew up off the content. She did all the strategy, which I'm going to give her full credit for, but I think there can't be a full coincidence that as soon as the first video that we did that was with my camera and my editing and stuff like that, it caught wind and caught fire. But the connections I made with her and her working me into some of her packages and introducing me to clients and people was, again, huge. And some of those clients I still work with today, which I'm forever grateful for. So I think a key thing is, if you're starting, try to find ways where you don't have to do it by yourself. Find people in similar industries in your area who might be able to use, high quality video or whatever it is you do. Work together to maybe make a package or have them become a referral partner of yours and vice versa. And lean on people when you need to, because I think a lot of people think we have to do this by ourselves. And if we're all thinking we all need to do this by ourselves and would really be able to use someone to lean on, let's lean on each other. So I highly encourage anybody who is feeling a little stuck right now just to reach out to people in your area and just start conversations and say, hey, how can I help you? Or can I help any of your clients? Because it's only going to make them look better. If a photographer or if a marketing agency isn't doing any high quality video and they say, hey, we're going to start doing high quality video with our partner for our packages, it's only going to be this much more, they're going to look like a rock star, because now they're more of a one-stop shop for their clients, and their clients are getting a better service. I will say, caveat though, be very careful, and in my opinion, try not to be white labeled. Make it so that the people know, their clients know that, hey, we're the agency doing your marketing and we're teaming up with Blue Dot Media and they're going to be our video partner, versus you being like this ghost video person. Because at the end of the day, you still want people to know it's your business doing the high quality video. So when you do branch off, people know there's a distinction there. So I don't really know why, but I was all in on like full on video strategy projects. I actually wrote a book about, I actually wrote a book about it. And I think I was probably into this because of the price tags that I was seeing on those large projects. Those are multi-$100,000 projects when you're talking about 30, 40 videos for a business and ongoing content for the right businesses. They're attractive price tags. But the thing that sucked is you're always looking for the next big project. So things were going well for about 2 years or so. I was chugging along with those relationships I was making. My content was pulling in some clients here and there. I was probably around $7,000 to $8,000 a month, which I was super happy. But going from project to project to project, pitch to pitch to pitch, started to get exhausting, and you don't get as many at bats when you need those sales to go well, because they count more, because you don't have any monthly recurring revenue, which is what I realized I wanted to go after. So I started to shift my focus away from the $100,000 jobs with 1 million deliverables and started focusing more on brand message videos, testimonials, and short form content. I think that every single business out there can use those 3 types of videos. Brand message video is that brand ethos video of this is who we are, this is who we help, this is why we exist and why you should work with us. And then testimonials are the social proof that people like working with them and have good experiences. And then short form content is that ongoing, stay in front of your audience consistently with value. And I think in combination, those things work really well to create a little mini funnel for almost every type of business out there. So I figured, you know what? I think this is a good starting point to start to shift that focus away from the, 10, 20 video asset type packages and focus on something that's a lot more doable and tangible for businesses to wrap their head around, and also get monthly recurring revenue for my own business. And it actually started to work. So I got a few retainer clients, which took a lot of the stress off having to find that next job, and start refining my process, make my videos better, make my customer experience better. Because one thing that I've learned is you can have the best looking video, the best sounding video, but if a client has a shitty experience, they're going to remember that and they're going to pick the person who they just feel it's a lot easier to work with in a lot of times. And that's something that I pride myself on now, is I have a pretty robust onboarding, follow-up process, and we have an actual process. So we're not just showing up with a camera saying, what do you want to talk about? We know what we're going to talk about. We know who we're talking to. We know the messaging, and we have a full workflow for all of our videos and things like that. And I think clients really appreciate that. Now, whenever I'm consulting another video agency owner and they're asking me, hey, how do I get to where you're at, or what steps did you take? Something I want to make really clear is I never stopped making my own content. It's the most important thing that you can do. If we're telling our clients that they need to be making content consistently, then we also need to be doing that. Today's Saturday. I had a whole week of shoots. I have the next 2 weeks full of shoots, and I really can't take on many more clients, but I'm still making content because it's so important to keep lifting your brand up and staying in front of people and being valuable to people. Because getting clients is kind of like getting a boat out of water. It takes all this energy to get the boat up out of water, and then you're going and going and going. But as soon as you let off the gas, it goes back into the water and you got to start up again. So just because you're successful or you feel like you can't take any more clients and you don't need any more inbound leads, you should still be making content, because you never know when you're going to need to start getting those people as contracts fall off and things like that. And that's especially true if you don't have any clients. If you're a video agency owner and you don't have any clients and you're not making videos, what the fuck are you doing? Like, do it. Make the videos. You have nothing but time on your side, which is a huge, huge asset that you will lose the more successful your business becomes. I'll tell you a story real quick. So I was making daily videos for almost a year before one of my favorite clients, Johnny, reached out and said, hey, I think I want to talk about doing video. And Johnny told me he's been following me for a year. And when I heard that, I was like, holy shit. It takes a lot of content and people seeing you a lot to either A, feel like they know, like, or trust you, or it might just take that amount of time for you to say the right thing to connect with them when they're ready to move forward. I'm glad I didn't stop doing that, because Johnny has become a really good friend to me. He sold me our house. He's a business partner of mine now. He's led to so many connections. And if I had stopped making content, there's a good chance that Johnny would never have reached out to me and my life would look way different. Okay, so this is where things really started to take off for me. I was at about $10,000 a month, which is fantastic. It's the most money I've ever made in my life, and things were going well, but I felt like I could do more. And I had money that I could invest back into myself, and that's when I contacted Ridge, who is a business coach. He's a videographer, a video agency owner who I've known for that Facebook group for quite a while. And it's funny because when I had a meeting with him, I told him I didn't like Ridge when I first met him. He's our energies are so different. I'm much more laid back, and I just wasn't as good at sales as I needed to be. And Ridge is very good at that. He knows the right things to say. He has the right processes. He has the right talk tracks. He knows how to ask questions. And I think we had both, over the years, we've known each other. We both changed. And I was like, you know what? We have different styles, but that doesn't mean that he's more successful than me, so I have to learn from him. I can learn from him, and I'm so glad I did, because after I reached out to Ridge and joined his program, things really started to unlock for me. And Ridge, if you see this, feel free to use it as a testimonial, because you unlocked my business. And I think the biggest unlock for me working with Ridge, and I'm sorry, Ridge, I wasn't the best student. I didn't follow the entire program the right way, even though it was proven to work, and other people were having great success with it. I just think we were all in different parts of our businesses, each student was, and the first step unlocked everything for me, so I didn't really need to go through the rest of the program, but now I am, because I really like some of the things that he was teaching us, and I just didn't need to implement at the time. But the biggest thing that I did for my business that helped me grow was niching down. And I'll be honest, niching down was something I was terrified of. It meant inherently that I'm focusing on a certain type of customer, and I'm probably gonna have to turn away people who aren't that type of customer. Now, here's a few things that I realized about niching is you can always change it, and it's not permanent, and you can still help other people if you want to help them. But the value in niching down is knowing exactly who you're talking to, so you can make content that speaks directly to them, to their pain points, and help them actually solve their problems. When you're making content and trying to talk to everybody, you're essentially making content that talks to nobody. And you really need to connect with your target audience, especially in today's world where they're getting content thrown at them left and right. If you make something that speaks directly to them and puts the finger on a pain point, they're gonna listen. And I actually made a workbook on how to define your target audiences so you can make better content. And if you want that, feel free to drop a comment or shoot me a DM and I'll send it over for free. Then the biggest shift in my business happened when I decided to niche into real estate and start a podcast. Now, I started the podcast because I knew a few real estate agents. I have Johnny. I've learned a lot. I knew a lot about the industry, so that's kind of why I leaned towards real estate. But I didn't know all the big players, and one of the biggest things I did was I started my podcast with the pure intention of having guests on so I can learn about the industry and learn about their problems, and then take that information, make better content, and push it out to those people in hopes that other agents will see that content, know what I'm talking about, and want to work with me. And that worked. One of the big things that I think worked was having people on who were big names in the industry and getting my face seen next to theirs and sharing the content with them. So my offer always was like, hey, I'd love to have you on my podcast. I'm trying to learn more about the real estate world. And in return, I want to give you a few clips that you can post on your social as if you were one of my clients. That way you can get something out of it. And any post that I make, we're going to collaborate together so we can share each other's audiences. And it kind of blew up very quickly to where people go like, oh, I saw your podcast with so-and-so, or you're that guy who did that podcast with Sean or whoever it was. Those people normally probably would have ignored me, but because I had a podcast, most people are going to say yes, like I'll come and sit on the podcast. And I didn't have the studio I have now. I was taking 2 cameras, all my mics, into little offices, setting it up, doing a half-hour conversation with them, and then leaving. It was a grind, but I can't tell you how valuable a podcast was to my business. And no matter what business you're in, starting a podcast, in my opinion, is the most rich content piece you can create and the best use of your resources, because you get a long form piece of content that you can use on YouTube, you can use it in email blast, You can get in front of people who might otherwise say no to you. You have industry leaders. You start associating with your other industry leaders, and you start to get seen as an industry leader yourself. And you can take all the content and chop it up into small pieces for your short form content. It's literally the absolute best way for any business, in my opinion, to make content nowadays. Now, one big thing I want to say is if you are going to be starting a podcast, if you're a video agency owner and you have your niche, you should start a podcast about that niche and invite the people in your area, but don't invite them on with the intention of making them a client. If they want to work with you, that's awesome, but never have that intention. You're there for them if they want to help, if they want you to help them and become clients, but be there to be valuable, to have the conversation and give them the free content that you said you were going to give them. So that was kind of the end of 2023, and things started to really happen really quickly, where I had people asking me like, hey, one of the people I did a podcast with was like, hey, we're shooting a podcast with another company. We're thinking about switching over. Would you be able to do that? Would you have a space for that? And in my head, I'm like, yeah, I have that space. I didn't have that space. Now, I was looking at small studio spaces, but nothing was locked in yet. But these two guys are very influential in the area, and I knew it would be dumb of me to not figure it out. So I actually rented a small 300 square foot studio, mainly for me to run my own podcast out of. But I'm like, I can do some shoots in here. We can make it work. I can make things modular. I'm always used to working in small spaces, but it wasn't sustainable at all. I wanted the studio to be able to save me time, to save my clients time, so we can just come in, sit down and shoot and then leave. But I ended up having to be there an hour or 2 hours earlier to either clean it from the last shoot, slide chairs around. It was an absolute mess. It was just not sustainable at all. So after about 3 months of being in that studio, I had to break the lease, and I came to this studio, which is 1,200 square feet and a lot bigger, where I was able to have multiple sets that we can sit down, record at. And it was very scary to do. It still is, because it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but I think it gives Blue Dot Media a huge advantage over a lot of the people in the area who are offering similar services, but they're relying on the client to have a space to record or finding a spot to record every month. Whereas here, we can have clients come to us, record what they need, and they bounce out in a few hours every month. And since then, things have just been snowballing. And once you get momentum in business, things will start to pick up, I promise you. But one thing you're really gonna need to focus on is your systems, your processes, and your client experience. Because as you, like I said before, as you grow your business, your time goes down. So the earlier on you can dial things in so you're not always behind the ball on things, the better. And you don't want to make mistakes. And as soon as your client experience is impacted, that's where all your energy has to be focused. So that leads us to now, where we have a team of myself, 2 editors, and an administrative assistant. We're doing about $18,000 to $25,000 a month. The goal is $40,000 a month. I don't really know why. But running a business is way more expensive than people make it out to be. It sounds cool, $25,000 a month. You're not taking that all home. So the goal is $40,000 a month, and that's what I'm going to be documenting here on this channel, is the things that I'm trying in my business, if they're working, if they're not working, things I'm doing for clients, starting my podcast back up again because I want to learn more about businesses and have those conversations with business leaders in my area so I can become a better business owner. And I'm going to start making videos on how any business can use video to solve any problem. So if that's something that you might be into, whether you're a video professional, you own a business, or you're thinking about starting a business, and you want to learn how to use video to elevate your brand and solve any problems you might run into, I'd love if you subscribed. Okay, so these are the things that I wish I had known earlier when starting my business. Number 1 is learning business acumen quickly so you can better communicate to businesses what you do. Number 2 is pick a niche and make hyper-specific content targeted to that niche. Number 3 is make content consistently. Number 4 is search for those adjacent partnerships. Number 5 is know your worth. Remember, you're making businesses thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars, and you deserve to get paid for that. And 6 is focus heavily on your customer experience. You are a business owner, not just a cameraman, and people are expecting an experience with you. If you can lock in a solid customer experience and customer workflow from the first time someone comes in contact with your brand to the time they're leaving after their contract's over and recording you a testimonial, if you lock that in, you will stand out from every other person in your area. So I hope that helped in some way. Like I said before, if you're a video agency owner or a business owner who wants to follow along and maybe pick up some tips on how you can grow your brand or agency with video, feel free to subscribe. And if you're a business owner or a video agency owner trying to scale your business right now, I would love to know in the comments what your biggest challenge is currently. So that's it for this video. I know it was a long one. Next one should be shorter, but thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.